attended our meetings. And I should mention that these meetings are often very long, they're often very tedious, often drill down into a lot of detail, but you know, the prosecutor and Rick Celeste have been at every one of our meetings, from the get-go right through to the end. Jack Sotarelli sat in many of them, as have some other county representatives. I thank them for that because it's been invaluable, and I know it's been a lot of their time. As I mentioned, the chairs of the various subcommittees have met on a number of occasions, both with the prosecutor and Dr. Celeste, and with the member of the freeholders and other representatives of the county. And that's for the purpose of the chairpersons exchanging a lot of information. What are we doing? What are we thinking? What are our very preliminary recommendations? Where are we going? What are the pros and cons, et cetera? How does this integrate with what you're doing? And these sessions have also been extremely helpful to us. Let me just comment, if I may, a little bit on the key aspects of our legal and substantive analysis to date. And this is very important. This is the heart of the process. There's a lot of work in other areas. There's a lot of work to follow, but herein lies really the beating heart of the problems before us. The key legal statute, which will have a very significant role in regionalization of all the municipal police departments, is the Uniform Shared Services and Consolidation Act. And for those among you who are attorneys, the site is to NJSA 40A:65-1 at SEEK. This act governs our regionalization effort, and it utilizes the term joint meeting, quote unquote, to mean the joint operation of any public services, facilities, et cetera, by local units, municipalities, for example, pursuant to a joint meeting agreement. However, where law enforcement is concerned, the Act sets important limitations which must be recognized, and they are as follows. A, I'm just summarizing, but A, any joint meeting agreement must recognize and preserve, let me go back, any joint collective bargaining agreement must recognize and preserve the seniority, tenure, and pension rights of every full-time enforcement officer who is employed by each of the participating local units and who is in good standing when the agreement is adopted. Pardon me. B, none of the above law enforcement officers may be terminated except for cause. C, when the joint meeting merges collective bargaining units with existing contracts, the terms and conditions of those pre-existing contracts will continue in effect, and the rights of the members thereunder must be recognized and preserved until a new joint meeting collective bargaining agreement is negotiated, reduced to writing, and signed by the parties. Extremely important. This act protects those who are under existing contracts. Makes it very clear to them they don't have to worry about being presented with a hello or goodbye, or here's your current salary, and forget about what you're earning before, and by the way, your benefits are going to be thus and so, and take it or leave it. Not so. A very important act. And a very important guidepost to us for our analysis. As I mentioned, we've done a comparative analysis of all of the collective bargaining agreements, including the chief's contracts, and that has assumed great importance in light of the provisions of the Act, which I just read to you. We've constructed an electronic database from which we can analyze and compare the provisions of all those collective bargaining agreements. And this allows us ultimately to highlight similarities and also highlight potential disparities. Very important in figuring out, for example, only whether you should ultimately be thinking in terms of one bargaining unit for all 5 of the precincts you saw on the color-coded map, assuming you're going to end up with 5, or whether you have one bargaining unit for each of the 5 precincts, et cetera. That kind of analysis will be have a educational basis to it when we get through with the comparative analysis. And we'll have a much better idea when we go through this comparative analysis of what really needs to be negotiated ultimately for terms of a joint meeting collective bargaining agreement. As we review, for example, all the existing collective bargaining agreements, we'll be able to determine, hopefully, which unions are representing the various bargaining units and collaborate with them to decide how best to handle the issue of who represents which members when negotiating a new agreement. We've already determined that all of the bargaining units are members of what's referred to as PFRS, or the Police and Firemen's Retirement System. And we also have already determined we don't need to address civil service law compliance, as none of the municipalities is subject to civil service. As noted, our work continues. We're not at the point where we've reached any firm conclusions or developed final recommendations as to how best to proceed. We do have a meeting scheduled next week, at which point our key goal will be to decide how best to really focus in on the issue of constructing the terms and conditions, or proposed terms and conditions, pros and cons, et cetera, of a new regional collective bargaining agreement. And for that purpose, we're going to be sitting down with hopefully a number of people from labor. We have already people in our subcommittee. We want to staff up on that and get as many disparate views as we can on that issue. What are the real problems that we confront? What are the practical problems we have to overcome? How best should we organize ourselves to achieve our goals here? And we're also going to be sitting down for that purpose at the same time with Donato's governance committee, because as I mentioned, his committee and our committee really have some very key areas where we intersect for purposes of determining where we're going ultimately with our recommendations. We're looking forward to continuing our work. Not done yet, but we will be soon, hopefully. I don't think the report is going to end our task, but we intend to meet the prosecutor's request that we submit our report by the end of this year. So that is certainly on our calendar. And if I may, just as chairman of Team 6, I don't want to overstep my bounds here. You can see from all the presentations that have been made that this is a very detailed, arduous, complex matter, a lot of thorny issues. I extend my appreciation again to the prosecutor, Dr. Celeste Freeholder, et cetera, and my fellow subcommittees for all the work that's been done here, because it's certainly helped us greatly. It's made the working relationship a very pleasant and productive one, and I am optimistic. It's a complex matter, it's a very important matter, but it's a matter that we really need to address, because if it works, and I'm optimistic it can work, it will be not only a template, as Freeholder Citarelli said, for other counties in the state, it'll be a template for consolidation along many other lines. And we need more efficiency, we need more cost savings in the state and on the local level. Thank you very much.
All right, that was one of our goals here, was to demonstrate, first of all, to educate ourselves as to the process, and to hopefully satisfy ourselves that the process was above board, transparent, and doing it the right way. So no matter what your opinion is on the ultimate outcome, I hope we can all agree that we should be proud of the fact that Somerset County is looking at this the right way. So on behalf of everyone here, thank you. And I should note, there are 6 subcommittees, they all said yes when we invited them to this event today. So again, that shows, it gives an indication of everyone's dedication. So anyway, this is your time. The way we're going to do this, I have trained my staff never to give up the mic. So if you grab the mic, you might get a violent response. So just, all I would ask is that you, and now just state your name. I know who you are. But I just want to make sure when we record this that we understand who's actually giving us dialogue. And other than that, yeah, let it hang out. Pat, I think Pat was first. Okay.
Pat Wall, Somerset County Freeholder, and I want to thank all of you for what you've done and all the time you've put in. I think most of the people in this room understand all the hours and the research and the dialogue, but when this is done, no one else will understand. But I know when the product is finished, it will be a one of its kind and a first-class report coming out of Somerset County. So the only thing I was thinking of that I see more of in the end is the level of service at the end of this for each district. And to me, that would be, if I was just a resident out there, that would be one of my major concerns. Yes, the taxpayers, we want to save money on property taxes, but there are 2 things that, having been mayor for many years, that people care most about, and it's the schools and being safe in their municipalities. So I think that level of service, and I believe that this will probably increase the level of service to each municipality because of the ability to back up and put cars where they're needed. I saw that with our EMS when we went from one to Somerset Medical Center, saved $19,000, but the actual fact was that if one rig was out, they knew they had the second one on the way. So it increased the level of service, and I think that that's going to be a very important component in selling this to the residents of Somerset County, if in fact that's what the report recommends.
Okay.
Freeholder Walsh, I commend you on asking a very pointed question and also doing a better job in answering it than anybody up here could have done.